Right, I want to talk about something I think is actually really important. And I think, I can see how this sort of video title will make you think, oh, am I going to bash therapy? Well, I'm sorry if you're hoping that I was. I'm not going to bash it. My mum is actually a therapist and she's a good one herself. And, I have seen value in therapy myself. I have actually done therapy. And you know what? It has helped me. What it's actually helped me with is it's offered me insights into myself and has helped me compartmentalize that lovely big word, my thoughts and feelings. So, whenever I've felt like my mind has been so overconsumed with so many running, racing thoughts and, trying to understand why I'm feeling certain ways, therapy has allowed me to do that. So, congratulations, therapy. However, if you're wondering, like, why I feel like I'm doing good things, going to therapy, obviously that is a good thing. And, if you are in a really bad state, then I'd strongly recommend going to therapy for sure. However, maybe you're someone that has done therapy quite a bit, or maybe you haven't, and you're wondering, what is the best thing? What is the thing I really need in this moment? Now, therapy, unfortunately, couldn't give me one thing that I really needed. And that thing is, yeah, self love. And only you can offer that to yourself. Now, I know it sounds corny and cringy, whatever, but self love is really when you make a promise, do you keep it? When you keep that promise, that is self love. You start loving yourself a lot more. And what happens then? You start respecting yourself a lot more. And then what happens then? You start trusting yourself a lot more. So all these doubts that you have are really coming from self hatred. All that shame, all that self pressure, all these thoughts of, can I really do this? I can't be asked. You know, I don't have the energy right now. All those thoughts get eradicated when you start loving yourself, because once you have that level of respect in yourself, you respect who you are and you respect your boundaries. That then becomes clear in front of everyone else. So everyone else starts respecting you a lot more. When you're starting to deliver on your promises, that builds self trust. That way, you have tangible evidence stored within you that you can deliver whatever you say you're going to do. And that is extremely important in all realms of life, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, family life, etc. It's hugely important. And that's one thing therapy couldn't give me. It couldn't give me that self love. It gave me self understanding and self knowledge, but it could not give me self love. I had to do that myself. And I did that by changing my habits, changing my behaviors, and started noticing whenever I'm doing something positive, actually giving myself credit. When was the last time you did something right, or, did something with good intentions and thought to yourself, I'm really proud that I did that? Credit to me. I'm really proud of myself. When was the last time you did that? Because I sense we're so quick to judge whenever we do something wrong. Our inner critic kicks in instantly and goes, that was bad, never do that again. And it's a way of survival. We all know this. And it is vital, but it's not going to get us where we want to go. We want to essentially evolve. And the only way for us to do that and ascend is for us to start loving ourselves more. Because when we do that, we then have a deep sense of confidence from within. And it's not your fake performative confidence that you might see some salespeople expressing or portraying. It's not that. This is a real deep sense of confidence coming from within. And when you have that, you really will have everything start aligning with who you are. And that then paints the picture for the rest of your life. And, I don't want to make this sound very flimsy and whimsical, but onto more practical matters, if you really want to start loving yourself, it's helped me. I've realized in myself, especially the last few weeks, that I've started working on self love. And I would say that is really me staying true to who I am at the core. It's me putting down the boundaries and sticking up for myself. I've realized a lot in the past that I've neglected sticking up for myself, and that has ultimately crushed me. However, I've got back up from that, and now I'm not willing to tolerate that kind of disrespect. And when you're not willing to do that anymore, that's a big sign that self love is coming into play. So, here's an activity for you. If you want to start embodying this by today, start now and write a question. What am I actually proud of? What have I done in the last year that I'm very grateful for? These two questions alone will really help you in the process of start loving yourself. And what happens then at the end of the day, we all have thoughts running through our minds on a daily basis. I think it's about 60,000 thoughts we have a day. And a lot of these are negative. So when we start this process of self-love, we actually override our thoughts and it becomes a lot more positive. So yeah, I'd strongly encourage you to do that today. And yeah, let me know how it goes. Put it in the comments. I'd be intrigued. That's all. Take care. Love yourself.